Hello, I am Dr. Margaret Olabi, a veterinarian diagnostician. Today I want to address this issue with antibiotics. Yeah, antibiotics abuse, misuse, resistance. We'll touch it sparingly. So I like using case scenario. So I'm going to pick one of my awesome clients as an example. This is stock broilers. He said there was a torrential rainfall. Water came in, and the next time they started pooping blood. I said, really? Pooping blood? That's serious. Like magic in less than 24 hours. Though that is why history is very important. Sometimes when I try asking for history from farmer, it's as if I'm trying to pry into your privacy, but believe me, it's to help you, it's to help both of us. Me, the diagnostician, and you, the farmer. So I probed further. So I got to realize that he gave cocci vaccine. Cocci vaccine, if you give it, you don't have to repeat anti-cocci every 2 weeks or 3 weeks if you are wearing on the floor. All you just need to do is keep on. You don't change the litter if you vaccinate against cocci. Anyway, so fine. I said no problem. I took the birds into the PM room. I opened up. Within the enteric organs, that's the intestine, there wasn't striking lesion of cocci, but yes, there was a challenge with the enteric system. You could see sloughing off of the membrane, you could see hemorrhages, but not striking cocci hemorrhage. So I told him to give me a moment. I went under the microscope and I searched and searched and searched. I didn't see any malaria, eggs and co. I didn't notice anything under the microscope. So the guy was saying, hey doctor, I've recorded 70 mortality. You must give me something to go. And as practice, once you come to this lab, we won't recommend antibiotics offhand. We will wait. At least the minimum you have to wait is 24 hours. By the next day, you get antibiotics. So I thought, what would I do to this guy? So I followed him. I was kind enough to follow him to the vet pharmacist place. So I first asked, the anti-cocci you're using, does it have vitamin K? He said yes. Okay, so we picked more anti-cocci with vitamin K. Though, please note, I didn't see striking lesions or coccidiosis on the carcass and under the microscope. So he was asking me that did the vaccine break? I said not necessarily. The body is already fighting it. You've introduced it, so maybe that is why we saw that first, but it doesn't mean that the vaccine are broken as at that time. Then I asked for enteric acidifiers. I asked for gut enhancers. They didn't have, so I just went for an antiprotozoal drug because I knew that only anti-cocci drug wouldn't do the magic. Alright, so I know you had to wait for the next day to get the antibiotics. So by the next day I gave him the antibiotics to use. 2 days later he called me. He said, hi doctor, you are my miracle worker. You are my what did I do? He said, doctor, only with that antiprotozoan drug that mortality crashed to nothing. I said, really? He said, so the reason why he was calling it is afraid to use antibiotics. He's afraid to use antibiotics. So I said, well, I told him that with antibiotics normally, these are plates here. These are plates we work with. He said, if I pick this plate, open it up, and I expose it to the air. I expose it, something will grow. If I plate antibiotics disc against it, of course it will pick antibiotics there. So most times antibiotics is usually secondary. Most times the real deal, when we open up and we see what's wrong with the birds, it could inform us of supporting therapy. Yes, supportive therapy. And sometimes those supportive therapy, most times is usually enough. Most times we don't need antibiotics. I hope you get where I'm going to. So I told them that it should just wait with it. If the birds are feeling better, it takes 72 hours for us for fungi. Our fungi. Okay, I didn't bring my fungi plates. There is a particular heater we use to isolate fungi. It takes 72 hours for it to grow. So in 72 hours, I realized it isolated 3 fungi species: Aspergillus fumigatus, Aspergillus niger, and Candida, some cottony. So it was heavily laden with fungi. So I called them back. I said, okay, good. Thank God you didn't use the antibiotics, but you have to use antifungal. From opening up the birds, it was obvious that the birds were already dealing with something before that stressor of rain came. So that's why it was as if it was the rain that caused them to be dying. So I already explained to him that those birds were already dealing with something. So obviously, those fungi species were doing wonderful things in their body. So lo and behold, from that story, that guy didn't use antibiotics. Further tests made us to realize that there were fungi complications. So I just want to demonstrate some things to you. Why it's important you don't abuse antibiotics. Now this is the plates. This is what we call antibiotic sensitivity plate. It's not really, I'm sure you see some disc inside. So what we run this test, after we do our primary isolation, we do the secondary, as in we do secondary isolation, and what we do is that we pick those organisms, we plate it, as in we plate it again, the raw organism, then we now put our antibiotic disc, as in these are discs that has been impregnated with different antibiotics. So let's say this is one. You can, is my diagram, okay? Those small things in between are the disc. Now there is what we call zone of inhibition. That's what we use to make recommendation. You can see this zone of inhibition is the widest, this is the smallest, and this is intermediary. So most times we want to make recommendation, we just go for the widest because we believe that it will work the best. What this thing implies is that the organisms that grew this zone of inhibition, what it implies is that the organisms around this area, the antibiotics cleared them. It didn't let them grow. If you look at the whole plate, this is the whole plate, and the zone of inhibition will grow around this things, but you will see the other growth around. So meaning that the area, we are picking the area where the antibiotics works. Now in some cases you will see that, let me put ... You will see that after this clearance, you will see ... It means that after the clearing, organisms still struggle to grow. Such appearance we call intermediate. Now if we recommend such drugs to people, they might get immediate so-called like, the mortality stopped for like 2-3, but by the 3rd or 4th day it will come back. Just like what happened here, the organisms managed to grow back. So meaning that the organisms will still come back to overpower the birds. That's all. And there are sometimes that you won't even see any growth at all. That one is resistant. So what happens when you just go to the markets and pick antibiotics anyhow because you see your birds are sick? Sometimes those birds don't need antibiotics. They don't. But let's say you even do. What will happen is you're stressing yourself, you're wasting money, you're wasting the birds will still be dying if they're dying, yeah, so you're still wasting resources and it won't work. So okay, let me give another example. This is a fish farmer. He called, Dr. Tayo, I've been looking for you people's enro care, conflux, I can't find it. And I'm like, why? He said, I need to get it for a client. His fishes are dying. I can't go back with antibiotics. I just advise him that he should please, to avoid embarrassment, he should bring those fishes down to my lab. He was like, no, this one, I can't wait. You'll be telling me I should wait 24 hours. I said, when you come, I will explain to you. When he got here, I picked my sensitivity booklet. Yeah, it's somewhere. I think this is it. Yeah. And I showed him. I said, early this year, last year, upper year, in fact, it almost became like we were monotonous because our test was always speaking enrofloxacin, because it has a wide range of it's a broad spectrum antibiotics. But it will interest you to know now that organism that is in the environment has developed resistance. So enro, our test hardly picks enro now, unlike before. Maybe 90% enro. The only time, like this thing I explained to you now, the only time I won't pick an antibiotic with the largest zone of inhibition is when I open up birds and I'm already seeing signs tending towards a particular disease. So I'd rather pick an antibiotics that will cater more for it. Just like we know in human beings that augmentin is good for respiratory issues, and we know the likes of what's the name of this drug, ciprofloxacin, is good for enteric matters. Exactly. So like when I'm opening up and I'm seeing CRD and I'm seeing CRD. So even if I have the widest zone of inhibition for enro, I'd rather go for something that's specific for respiratory diseases. Or if opening up I am seeing lesions, more of enteric lesions, I'd rather go for antibiotics that not independently or based on my results, because about 7-8 drugs could be sensitive. So I will pick what suits the lesions that I'm seeing. So I hope you get clarifications on that. Where was I? So I explained to him. So when I opened up the fishes, I saw strict jaundice, and I'm like, see, bros, you will wait. He said, those fishes are dying. The man has lost 1,000 fishes already out of 5,000. I'm like, so we sat down and we're talking, we're gisting, and I'm like, okay, fine. Jaundice. Since you have become mad here, you don't want to go. You don't want to go. And unfortunately too, I saw parasites too. Anything could have caused jaundice, but I also saw parasites. Okay, alright, I have something for you. So when it started gesting, fine, parasite could have caused that jaundice. So a jaundiced animal would have lost blood because the blood cells are lysine, meaning getting destroyed in a very, very fast and high rate. So we need something to augment. So we went back and forth and we thought about supplements to give. So just supplements to boost blood. That was what I gave him. I just wrote it down that it is very scarce. manufacturers have not opened their eye blood blood and blood for livestock animals. You can get for dogs, you can get for maybe for cows, but for fishes and for poultry, it's very scarce. So he went to look for it. That guy, I give him thumbs up, because he didn't rest till he got that blood enhancer. And by the next day when he called and I said, see you, Oga my test did not pick enro, it picked streptomycin. He was already laughing. He said, doctor, will you believe that mortality has crashed? As in, my client only saw 2 mortality. Somebody that was already counting like 40 yesterday. I said, wow. I asked what did you do. He said, no, do you recommend blood enhancer for me? Okay, no problem. I was happy. Mind you, I told you I saw parasites. We looked for an antiparasitic drug. There was no antiparasitic drug. I had to order from head office. He was just going to pick it that money that he was giving me testimonial. So now see that scenario again. Even the antibiotics, antiparasitic drug, and no antibiotics, said just supplement, and he already got suckle. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that do not abuse antibiotics. Now farmers were having issues with feed, blah 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 blah. We really need to think beyond our local markets. And if we want to do anything, we have to do it really good. If you think about exporting your meats or your fish or your eggs gone self, maybe you want to do it to powder. Do you know that we can't pass in Nigeria here? We can't pass because we have no regards for withdrawal period. We just abuse drugs anyhow. But now that the market is all messed up, the feed prices are going high. You increase your egg, the retailers are not ready to buy. Yes, they are selling at high prices for those for the end users. The fish market too is the women that are selling in the market that will be giving you nonsense price, and they are the one riding all the big jeeps and all. You farmer, don't let us suffer for nothing. So you need to think beyond the shores. I know people small, as in small business holders, small boys and girls. What do? They buy fishes off people, they smoke and export it. They might be doing it on a small scale, but if someone like you that have a very big flock of birds, or you have a very large fish pond and you want to really move in bulk, you have to first go through tests like there's this test we call antibiotic residue test. I didn't know how important it was until a client reached out to me. They had 20 tons, as in 20 containers of 20 tons of shrimps on the high sea. It won't enter the country except they get clearance that their shrimps was free of antibiotics. So we had to run the test. It's not a routine test. We had to get the kits and we had to run it for them. So what I'm saying in essence, that just in case, just think beyond the shores of Nigeria. Think beyond this market people dictating price. Okay, what do you want to do? Reduce the availability of products to them. Decide you want to export. It's very easy. Google how to export. There's nothing hard. The only thing is that do your due diligence. Make sure you don't abuse antibiotics. When I tend to farms, the farms I consult for, the way I measure myself is how long did we stay without antibiotics. I've done 4, 5, 6 months without antibiotics, and the birds did very well, production wise and welfare is very doable. So today, that's what my video is about. It's not good to abuse antibiotics because of antibiotic resistance when the livestock are really sick. When they are really sick, it might be hard for you to treat them because they've developed resistance. 1. 2, if you are thinking of moving your goods off the shores of Nigeria, you can't abuse. They will send your goods back. It won't, and what is sent, they will destroy it. They will destroy it. They won't bring it back to you, and it won't enter the shores of their country. So please, let's learn to accommodate good practices, because everything goes in this country doesn't mean everyone should be like barbarian like them. Let's change our ways. And long and short of the story, please, when you have issues, visit the lab. Not everything antibiotics, not every time self-medication. You're going to save yourself a lot of stress. You're going to save yourself spending excessive money, and you're going to save yourself losing excessive animal and even in production too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to contact me for more information. Thank you.